The city doesn't ask for much. Just honesty, just effort, just something to believe in. In Portland, basketball is not noise. It is memory. It is winter nights. It is waiting. This place has never chased glamour. It never begged for the spotlight, but it has always carried hope quietly, patiently, like a promise whispered instead of shouted. The arena fills not because of trophies, but because of trust, because this city shows up even when the ending hurts. Every season begins the same way, with belief that maybe this time will be different, that maybe this team will finally give the city what it has been holding its breath for. And at the center of that belief stands one name, one franchise, the Portland Trail Blazers, a team born into loyalty, raised on expectation, and forever tied to the weight of a city that refuses to stop believing. From the beginning, this team was never meant to drift quietly. It was created to carry a city that wanted to be seen. Portland didn't need stars, it needed representation, a team that felt like home, not spectacle. The early days were filled with ambition, but also uncertainty. New faces, new systems, big dreams without a clear path. There was excitement in the air, but no foundation yet. Hope arrived faster than stability. Every game felt like a test, not just of talent, but of identity. Who were they supposed to be, and could they become it in time? The Portland Trail Blazers weren't just learning how to win, they were learning how to exist. And in those early moments, before the scars, before the pride, one thing became clear. This franchise would never be ordinary. Losing arrived before confidence did. Night after night, effort wasn't enough. The margins were thin, the results were not. The crowd stayed, but the silence grew heavier. Not angry, just tired. Mistakes repeated themselves. Close games slipped away. Momentum never stayed long enough to settle. This wasn't failure that exploded. It was quieter than that. It crept in slowly, turning belief into questions. Was this just another team learning how to lose? Or something worse, a team stuck there? For the Portland Trail Blazers, every loss added weight. Not pressure from the league, pressure from expectation. Because when a city keeps showing up, losing starts to feel personal. And the doubt didn't come from outsiders, it came from inside the building. As seasons passed, patience began to thin. Not loudly, quietly. The questions changed tone. They were no longer about growth, they were about direction. Every move felt heavier than it should have. Every decision carried consequence. Because now, losing wasn't new. It was familiar. The pressure didn't come from headlines, it came from knowing the city still believed, from knowing people were still waiting. Inside the organization, doubt became a constant companion. Not panic, not chaos, just uncertainty sitting in the room. Could this version ever break through, or was the ceiling already set? For the Portland Trail Blazers, this was the dangerous phase. Not collapse, stagnation. And in moments like this, franchises either drift apart or something changes. Then something finally shifted. Not all at once, not loudly. It started as a feeling, a moment where hesitation gave way to belief. One decision, one stretch of games, one realization that this team didn't need to be perfect, it needed to be fearless. Confidence replaced caution. Roles became clearer. Trust stopped being theoretical. For the first time, the pressure didn't crush them, it sharpened them. The Portland Trail Blazers stopped asking who they were supposed to be. They chose who they were willing to become. And in that choice, everything changed. Not because the struggle ended, but because the doubt finally did. The identity didn't arrive polished. It arrived earned. This team learned how to survive nights when nothing came easy, how to win ugly, how to stay composed when momentum disappeared. There was no illusion of dominance, only discipline, only resilience. They stopped chasing how others played, stopped measuring themselves against louder teams, and leaned into what fit them. Defense mattered. Effort mattered. Togetherness mattered more than talent ever could. The Portland Trail Blazers became a reflection of the city itself, underrated, unflashy, unwilling to quit. This wasn't a team built to impress quickly, it was built to last. And once that identity settled in, the league began to notice. Momentum is a fragile thing, but once Portland found it, they protected it. Wins started to feel intentional, not lucky, not accidental. Confidence grew without noise, no chest beating, no promises to the world, just consistency, night after night. Opponents stopped overlooking them. Road games felt heavier. Close moments felt calmer. The Portland Trail Blazers were no longer chasing respect. They were demanding it by how they played. This was the rise people didn't see coming because it wasn't flashy, it was steady. And in the NBA, steady is dangerous because once belief locks in, it's hard to shake. Eventually, belief turns into expectation, and expectation changes everything. The spotlight arrived whether Portland asked for it or not. Every game now carried meaning beyond the scoreboard. This wasn't about proving they belonged anymore. It was about how far they could go. The city felt it, the players felt it. The weight of now sat on every possession. For the Portland Trail Blazers, this was the peak of possibility, the moment where waiting meets opportunity. Hope became dangerous, because when hope is real, losing costs more. And everyone knew it. This was the season where dreams stopped being distant and started asking for payment. Success always asks for something in return, sometimes more than expected. The deeper the run, the thinner the margin. Bodies felt heavier, mistakes felt louder. Pressure found new ways in, not from opponents, from within. Every decision was questioned, every loss magnified, every win barely enough. The Portland Trail Blazers were learning a hard truth. Belief is powerful, but it is also exhausting. Injuries didn't just affect rotations, they tested resolve, they exposed limits. And suddenly, the same dream that lifted them up began to pull at the seams. Because success doesn't break teams immediately, it wears them down. The fall didn't come as a collapse, it came as moments. A shot that didn't fall, a stop that didn't happen, a series that slipped away. There was no single mistake to blame, just the cruel accumulation of almosts. The city felt the loss instantly, not anger, not disappointment, something closer to familiarity. For the Portland Trail Blazers, this wasn't failure, it was the realization of how close they had been and how rare those chances truly are. The locker room was quiet afterward, not because they didn't care, but because they cared too much. This was the moment when belief was tested hardest. When the noise faded, reality settled in. There were no parades, no closure, just questions left unanswered. The roster changed, the energy shifted, the certainty disappeared, but the building never emptied. The city never turned away. For the Portland Trail Blazers, the aftermath wasn't about regret. It was about endurance. How do you move forward when you've already seen how close the summit feels? Some teams break here, others redefine themselves. Portland chose to keep going, not chasing ghosts, not rewriting the past, just carrying it. Legacy in Portland was never going to be simple, or clean, or fully satisfied. It wasn't built on dominance, it was built on loyalty. Players stayed, fans stayed longer. The bond between team and city hardened over time, not because of championships, because of commitment. The Portland Trail Blazers became something rare in modern sports, a franchise measured by trust. Mistakes were forgiven. Effort was never negotiable. In Portland, legacy wasn't about being remembered as the best. It was about being remembered as real, and that mattered more than any banner. Time moved on, but the meaning stayed. New seasons arrived with new faces, new expectations. the same familiar weight. Portland was no longer chasing an identity. It had one. A team that doesn't promise more than it can give. A city that never asks for shortcuts. The Portland Trail Blazers still represented something deeper than standings, belief without entitlement. Every year brought the same question. Not will they win it all, but will they fight the right way? And as long as that answer stayed yes, the story never truly ended.
In the end, the story of Portland was never about finishing first. It was about showing up anyway. Through rise, through fall, through years where hope felt heavy. The banners may not tell the full story, but the people do. A city that kept believing. A team that never pretended to be something it wasn't. The Portland Trail Blazers didn't promise perfection. They promised effort. And they lived with the consequences of that promise. Because some legacies aren't defined by how often you win. They're defined by how long you refuse to stop believing, even when winning never comes easy.
Because some legacies aren't defined by how often you win. They're defined by how long you refuse to stop believing, even when winning never comes easy. If this story stayed with you, like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more deep, honest basketball stories.